whenever we look at life, sometimes we look at it and we're like, there is no way this is going to happen. There is no way that we're going to reach this particular sales goal. There is no way that we're going to reach this. And if we say those words, or if we think those words, then what we've done is we planted seeds of failure into our life, into the journey, into the destination we're trying to achieve. Instead of flip it around and say, hey, look, I don't know how we're going to do it, but there's got to be a way to do that. Hey friends, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode is a tough one for me because I'm sharing my most interpersonal beliefs. Oftentimes we in the influence space or in the education space or in the coaching space, we don't really let the curtain back and expose ourselves. But I believe that what I'm going to cover today can change your life for the rest of your life. In fact, these 12 values that I'm going to go over have literally impacted my life beyond measure. I grew up in a small town in South Georgia, born and raised on a dirt road, and to reach DecaMillionaire status before the age of 40 blows my mind and certainly blows those who knew me as a kid. But I equate the success I've experienced to these exact 12 values. Now, here's the catch. It's sad, but it's true. 99% of you who are listening to my voice, or those of you who are watching me on YouTube, will not adopt one of these values. Why? Because they're hard. Why? Because these values demand discipline, sacrifice, and a shift in your mind, a shift in the way you think. But friends, I can promise you, take this one to the bank, man. If you can adopt one or all of these values into your life, they will change your life for the rest of your life. Before we get into these 12 values, let's talk about what is a value. A value to me is your ethos. It's the core belief. It's what you use as a syntax to help you make decisions along this journey that we call life. Now, we adopt values throughout many different ways. I'm going to go over the way I adopted these values, and I can almost point to a certain circumstance in every point of my life where it's like, I want to do that. I see what it's done for this individual. I want to adopt that and try to maximize that value for me. Now, look, values are hard, and living by a set of values is even harder. And what I'm doing is even more difficult because those who know me know I fail so many times. Even though I miss the mark, it doesn't prevent me from saying, here is who I am. Here is the guiding principles that I'm trying to live my life by. And if I can achieve these guiding principles, friends, then I know the reward is monumental. So what are the values? My first value is this. I want to live a life of stewardship toward others first. That's a very hard thing to say. See, as I began reading business books, and I've read some 1,000 business books, I realized that if I could duplicate the core beliefs, the inner emotions of those who achieve what I want to achieve, if I could duplicate it, then if it worked for them, it should work for me. And one of the things over and over and over I've read across multiple facets is this: place others first. Place others first. Zig Ziglar, one of my heroes, he said, man, as he's sitting there priming the pump, he's saying, help others get out of life everything they desire, and you'll get everything you desire. Jesus said it this way: love God, love others. So friends, I want to live a life to where when I wake up in the morning, I'm saying, Lord, help me today. Help me to put the people I come in contact with today first. And as I say that, I laugh to myself because so many times I've failed. It's hard. It's hard to wake up thinking, how am I going to serve the people today? How am I going to serve the person at the gas station? How am I going to serve the person who makes a coffee for me or a lunch? How am I going to serve my wife? How am I going to serve my children? How am I going to serve my employees, the customers, the vendors, everybody that I bump into? How can I serve them? Even though I fall short every single day. Friends, one of my prayers every morning is, help me to impact the people around me. Help me to provide the stewardship level that they need so that I can leave them better than when I first met them. Let me ask you, if you woke up every single morning and your thought was, help me to be a steward toward others that I meet today, how would that change your life? The second value I have, I can point to it exactly where I was in Brunswick, Georgia, sitting in a little small church, and my youth leader is up on the, not even a dry erase board, a chalkboard back in the day, shows you how old I am. He's sitting in front of a chalkboard and he turns around and he says, leaders eat last. Leaders eat last. I was about 15 years old at the time, and he went on to tell me this story in the Marine Corps to where the rank and file would always be at the front of the line for grub before any of those that have prestige, before any of the colonels, the generals, the master sergeants, whatever the titles were. The rank and file would always go first. Why? Because leaders eat last. See, it was a principle that he taught on that day and how the Marine Corps applied it to his life and how that principle served his life even better. So I try to leave this value out every day. Whenever there's a limited amount of money in the company, everybody else gets paid first. And I know you do the same, but they get paid first. Believe it or not, I've had some business owners that pay themselves and tell the team members they can't, they don't know what they're going to do. That's, to me, just ridiculous. But this idea that leaders eat last, that's an easy one for us to adopt, especially if you're a leader. But it's not just in business. We were riding a subway in New York on a mission to New York to help some homeless individuals that needed some desperate help. And we get onto a subway car and the car is packed. And there was a young teenage boy that was with our group, had sat down in one of the last seats. And onto the subway car walks an expecting mother. She was near the delivery date because she had a big old baby inside there, and no one moved. I was already standing up. Most of the boys were standing up, and I looked at that kid and I said, "Hey, I need you to stand up." He gave me a little bit of grief. I said, "Stand up now," and we let the mother sit down. You see, this leaders eat last mentality can be applied throughout all our facets of life. And now, as I live today, I'm trying to teach my children this philosophy, this value that if they can adopt now, it's going to serve them well throughout life. Leaders eat last. There was this proverb or this lesson that my grandfather taught me when I was about 6 years old. My dad, my grandpa, and I, we were walking down a country road with cane poles. Literally, it looked like we were on the Andy Griffith Show, on the opening of the Andy Griffith Show. We're walking down cane poles, and my grandpa and my dad say, "We're going to teach you to fish today." Now, what I've seen as I've aged is many parents will try to set the hook or do everything for the child and actually catch the fish for them. But my grandpa and my dad were wise enough to say, "We're going to teach you to fish." No doubt you've heard the analogy, teach others to fish, feed them for a lifetime, right? So in my own life, as I mentor those around me, as I mentor my employees, as I'm coaching with clients, as I am working with my children, I give away 99.999% of my knowledge, which is not very deep, not very much, but I give it all away. Why? Because if I can teach somebody else to fish, then it'll serve them better for the rest of their life. And if I serve them better and I can help them accomplish what they need to where they're not dependent upon anybody, where they're not dependent upon a coach, where they're not dependent upon a parent, where they're not dependent upon a system, especially our political system, our governmental system, if they can become self-reliant, then friends, they will win. And that directly adopts my very first principle. If they win, then I'll win because I'm helping them succeed. So my third value is teach others to fish. Let me ask you a question. As a business owner, as a parent, as a human, who are you teaching right now? Who are you imparting knowledge with the sole intention of helping them get better and expecting nothing in return? My fourth value is one that flies in the face of today's society. My fourth value is grow the pie. Grow the pie. Yes, like eating a sweet piece of blackberry pie. Grow the pie. There's this thought pattern that I don't understand, that I got to get everything I can because I don't get it, somebody else is going to get it. It's like we're looking at this finite piece of data. We're looking at this finite data set, and if we don't get ours, then somebody else is going to get ours, and we're going to be, out of luck. That's not the reality, especially for business owners. I'm going to take you back to a biblical principle, something that you may have heard, you may have never heard. According to Scripture, in the book of Genesis, the Bible says that God placed Adam and Eve in a garden. He didn't place them in a bakery. He didn't place them in a bakery. You see, if we look at life as a pie, so to speak, then true, yes, all we have is a finite piece of information. But if we look at life, we look at business, we look at our service to our clients, we look at our service within our infrastructure, we look at it as a garden. You see, whenever I take an apple out of my orchard and I bite into it and I eat the whole thing, that apple is gone. But inside that apple are dozens of seeds that can be planted and produce an entire tree. And on that tree, for its lifetime, will present thousands of apples. The same is true in business. The same is true in my life. If I can, as I am securing a product, for example, an apple, as long as I'm securing that and I'm creating options for others, then I am not in competition against you. I'm not in competition against other coaches. I'm not in competition when I had a financial advisory firm with other financial advisors. I'm in competition against myself. And as I create and I consume more, I'm actually dropping seeds that others are picking up and they're consuming more. So as a whole, I am growing the pie with this mentality of abundance. It's not about the scarcity mindset that today's generation has. Like, I gotta get it all. It's about, how is what I'm doing impacting the lives of others? And am I leaving them seeds so that they, after I taught them to fish, so that they can go and grow their own life, their own destiny, their own wealth, their own health, whatever it may be. So one of my values is grow the pie, grow the pie. Now, you've heard me say value number 5 many times on the podcast, but just for context, my 5th value is turn the turtle. That's right. Think about a tortoise, a turtle. You see, when my dad and I was about 16 years old, I can take you to the exact fence line today in Washington, Georgia. And we were walking down the fence line. He was beside me and we were talking. We were walking out of the woods and there was a box turtle that somehow got turned upside down. He was struggling to flip himself back over. And Dad just simply reached down and turned him over. And I said, "Hey, Pops," which is what I called my dad. "Hey, Pops, why did you do that?" And he said, "Well, because I can." I said, No. But why did you turn the turtle over?" He said, "Because I can." I said, No. What made you think to turn the turtle over?" He said, "I didn't think, Justin, I just did." And he realized that I was not catching. He stopped and he looked at me square in the eyes as a father to a son, put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Son, if you have it within your power to leave somebody better, do it. If you have within your power to help somebody struggling, do it." He went on to say, if you see something that you can do that doesn't take a lot of effort, that's going to help a process, help something within your business. Remember, at this time I already had a business. Do it. Don't overthink it. If you have it in your ability, do it. Never would I have thought that a simple walk out of the woods in Washington, Georgia would have created a principle for me that has enabled me to serve so many people. Value number 5 for me is turn the turtle. Now, value number 6 was taught to me by my mother. Remember, I was homeschooled and my mom was my teacher. She's college educated, very smart woman, somebody who is one of my heroes. And she taught me this simple principle, and that is find a problem, find a solution. You see, at that particular point in my life, she was teaching us business. We'd already been reading business books and we were launching our landscaping company. And she says, "Son, if you see a problem, find a solution." As an employee, if you see a problem, don't just go and identify the problem, bring about a couple of possible solutions. And so she was teaching me that as I'm working with my team, in order for me not to be at the epicenter of my business way back when I was 15 years old, encourage a culture with employees, with vendors, with clients that empower them to bring solutions and not just complaints. I'll give you an example. Emily and I just a few weeks ago, we got stuck in the Charlotte airport. Some of you may watch this on my Instagram page. By the way, check out my Instagram page. It is it's powerful. We share a lot of information there, things that are not often recorded on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. But we're stuck in the Charlotte airport, and because of the lightning storm circumstances, just life, we would not be able to get on a flight for another 2 days. And it was going to put us in Knoxville home at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 days later. There were no hotels available and there were no rental cars. Just one of those perfect storms, just life. Nothing to fuss about. So we thought we had a car at an Enterprise almost 60 miles away. So we get an Uber. We take the Uber about 60 miles away. We get to an Enterprise to rent a car, and we get there and there's a line of people. Enterprise people will come out and said, "Look, we're sorry. We don't have any cars." Not being defeated, I went and did what most people would do. I went to the Waffle House and got my bearings about me, ate me some good grits, eggs, and bacon. And then I'm sitting there and I told Emily, I said, "There's a problem in front of us, but we're going to find a solution. We are going to get home today." She said, "Good luck." And it wasn't like a good luck that I don't believe in you, Justin. It was, I'm tired. See, we'd already been awake, sleeping on the floor in the airport that night because there was nowhere else to go. And we're exhausted. So I'm getting on, I'm thinking of ways. I'm like, dude, can I rent a horse? I mean, we can ride a horse to Knoxville. It's about a 5-hour drive. So it'd probably take us 2 days. We could get home and have a little bit more fun. We may create a whole campaign out of it. She's like, nah, that's not gonna work, Justin. Okay, can we get a bus? Can we get a train? Can we rent a private plane? What can we do? Lo and behold, the idea came and she said, oh, what? Let's go rent a U-Haul. So I found a U-Haul that was available. Called the lady. I'm like, hey, is this U-Haul available for a one-way trip from Charlotte to Knoxville? She goes, yeah, it's available. Cool. We'll be there in 10 minutes. What do you need? I said, nothing. We have our suitcases and some stinky clothes on. We're renting a U-Haul and we're driving home. She laughed. She goes, okay, we'll see you in a second. We walked in. I'm in my Dominican Republic shirt. Still look totally out of place. Small town in North Carolina. Everybody's looking at us and laughing. I didn't care. Found a problem, found a solution. That's the attitude that has served me so well and led to so much success. We put a poll out on LinkedIn, which is another place you're welcome to follow me. And we were asking the followers, some 10,000 some odd followers, what is the number one trait that you believe comes from successful entrepreneurs? And it was actually pointed to this exact principle, that successful entrepreneurs are masters at being able to find ways to get through problems. Number 6 has served me so well. But number 6 feeds into number 7 for me. My 7th value is dive to the bottom. Dive to the bottom. Finding a solution goes deeper than just finding a solution to the immediate problem. Yes, the U-Haul was a quick solution for that particular problem. The greater problem was there was a storm, there were some delays, there were things outside of my control. But in business, for us as business owners, and as we're coaching our teams, as we're working with our customers, our clients, as I'm coaching now business owners, yet again, I'm enjoying this fact that I can teach them to dive to the bottom and find the root cause of the problem. Don't just stay at the superficial level. Figure out what is the ultimate cause of the problem. You see, whenever we're dealing with business and life day in, day out, it's easy to find quick fixes. It's easy to go and get a Band-Aid and put on the cut. But we've got to often go to what caused the cut to begin with. Well, here's what caused the cut. Well, let's stop that from cutting anybody else. You see? So whenever you find a problem, if you can learn to dive and find its root cause, then friends, you're setting yourself, you're setting your team, you're setting the people that you impact up for ultimate success. So my 7th value is dive to the bottom. Now, number 8 is one that I laugh about all the time. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. I say it so many times that my team actually bought a shirt for me that says there's got to be a way. You see, because whenever we look at life sometimes, we look at it and we're like, there is no way this is going to happen. There is no way that we're going to reach this particular sales goal. There is no way that we're going to reach this. And if we say those words, or if we think those words, then what we've done is we planted seeds of failure into our life, into the journey, into the destination we're trying to achieve. Instead of flip it around and say, hey, look, I don't know how we're going to do it, but there's got to be a way to do that. Another way I'll say it is, there's been so many people much smarter than me and much dumber than me who's been able to accomplish this. There's got to be a way for us to figure this out. So whenever I come to a situation where I'm constantly hitting roadblocks, like I did with that U-Haul truck, roadblock, man, I can't seem to break through. Stop. You see, this value, there's got to be a way, is what was in my head when I was sitting in Chicago and I said, there's got to be a way for me to change my family's financials, my financial position for the rest of our life. And it's not going to take me 40 years. I'm going to do it in 7 was my number. It took 4. It took 49 months for me because of this mindset shift. Friends, could it be, just maybe, that the very thing that's holding you back from success is doubt? Is doubt. What's interesting, as a Christian, I read scripture and it's amazing to me that Jesus says, if you have faith, the grain of a mustard seed, which is super itty bitty tiny, like the size of a flea. If you have faith, the grain of a mustard seed, you could tell this mountain, get up and move into the sea, and it would do it. That principle of there's got to be a way is rooted in your faith, your core belief that, hey, I'm going to accomplish this no matter what. And as the people push against you and as the life pushes against you, you push back even harder, saying, no, I'm not going to quit. This is too important. The success of my business is too important. Too many people rely on me. What would happen if I look at myself in 40 years and say, man, I wish you'd have pushed harder? I don't want that. There's got to be a way. And that value number 8 has served me so well. And it is hard. It is hard to live that. It is hard to internalize that. Value number 9 comes from a study that I read in college. My value number 9 is don't touch the marshmallow. Now, more than likely, you've heard of the marshmallow test experiment that was used with children. And it was looking at delayed gratification. So just to kind of summarize this, the researchers would put children in a room and they would put one marshmallow in front of a child and they'd say, hey, look, if you don't touch this marshmallow, then we'll give you 2 in the future. And that child would look there and say, okay, I've got 1 in front of me. And if I don't touch it though, I'll get 2 in the future. And they would last about 3 to 5 minutes. And then eventually they'd eat the marshmallow. And they would forsake the reward of 2 or more in the future. On the other hand, they would say, hey, we're gonna put this marshmallow here, but if you don't touch this marshmallow, we're gonna give you more in the future. And instead they end up getting the children, if they could get the child to shift their focus away from that immediate gratification and onto the things that they need to do in order to receive the future payoff, the children would last longer. The same is true for me and my business. I realized that in order for me to achieve the status that I wanted to achieve, I was going to have to delay gratification. So I literally did this. We drove a car around that had 350,000 miles. We used duct tape to hold it together. I literally moved my family from a house that was about 5,000 square foot into a double wide mobile home on the same month to whenever my name got put in Forbes magazine as a Southeastern financial advisor leader. The same month, I moved my family into a double wide mobile home. I remember one of my dearest clients, he's like, I don't know if I should be taking financial advice from somebody moving to a mobile home. And I was like, brother, it's part of the plan. Because I was delaying gratification. I can remember whenever we went to build our house, we got approved for a 7-figure loan, and instead we built a house borrowing only $300,000. Delayed gratification. And because I was delaying gratification, the reward was 8 figures for me. Because I delayed gratification in the immediacy and pushed back into what my immediate desires were, I was able to achieve everything I desired and more. Dave Ramsey says it this way: live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. And so this delayed gratification, this marshmallow test came in my life, and I said, I've got to have that as a value. Even though my friends at that time, in my 20s, even though they're buying brand new cars, even though they're buying big houses in fancy neighborhoods, even though they're taking exotic vacations, even in their 30s and 40s, people are doing this, and they're broke. They're broke because they want instant things today, and they're not looking at this journey of life. Friends, I'll give you another example that's happening right now in my life around don't touch the marshmallow. As some of you know, I sold Financially Simple years ago for 7 figures, and I acquired it back for virtually $1. It's a great story. And in doing so, I've been building the company throughout the last 9 months, and I could take compensation from the company, but I'm not. Because I realize that if I take compensation from the company, it's going to limit my ability to invest back into this company. And so I'm delaying gratification. I'm delaying that salary and pouring it back into the company because I have this particular goal that I'm going to achieve. I'm going to achieve it. And so I'm delaying the gratification so that I can achieve that goal quicker. Don't touch the marshmallow. Let me ask you a question. In your life, what are you succumbing to this world's belief that we should have it today? And instead, you may need to take a relook and say, you know what? Even though it'd be nice to have it today, I'm willing to do what others are not. I'm willing to delay this instant gratification. I'm willing to not touch that particular marshmallow because I realize in the future I'm going to get many more. My 10th value that I've lived by came my freshman year of college at the Brunswick, Georgia Community College, which is now some other name. I had an English teacher that had failed me. My only F I've ever got in my life was from English. It was composition English, and I cannot spell worth a flip. I don't even care to know how to spell. I know I misspell things all the time. People point it out. I don't care. And that lady in that Pullman said, forever you'll be a failure. She said, Justin, you're dumb as a box of rocks. I don't know why you're in college. You're going to be a failure in life. Exact words. I'll never forget it. And in that moment, with my young attitude, I said, no, I won't. In fact, I'm going to have a New York Times bestseller one day. And she just laughed. And in that moment, I realized there's a 10th value that I need to adopt in my life. And that was this: ability and attitude over alphabet soup. Ability. can I enhance my skills and my attitude? Can I keep my attitude positive, correct, right toward my destination? And if I can, ability and attitude will serve me far greater than the alphabet soup that so many people seek to achieve. You see, what's interesting is I have a horticulture degree. That's what I have. I have a degree learning how to grow grass and plants. And yes, I have a couple of master level certificates, but I have a degree in horticulture and I have an online degree from the University of Phoenix. If you look at my pedigree or my resume, I'm a nobody. In fact, I literally am a nobody. But I know people with far more advanced degrees. I know people that have Ivy League education. I know people in the professional world, especially financial advisors, because I just laugh at this, that put 75 designations behind their name as if to say, I know all this knowledge. Yet, those individuals have not been able to achieve a fraction of what myself and many others before me and after me have been able to achieve. Because they look at the alphabet soup, they look at this pedigree, they look at that certificate on the wall, they look at this Ivy League education as if this is the holy grail. When the reality is, friends, it's not. It's your abilities that you bring to the table and your attitude in deploying those abilities. That will lead you far greater in your journey than alphabet soup will. So my 10th value is ability and attitude over alphabet soup. I can remember whenever I launched my first consulting business. Remember, I already sold a business consulting business and we were consulting business owners all across the country. I had this one Ivy League educated person, MBA, yada, yada, yada. And they got on the phone with me and almost like to quiz me. And I just sat back. I knew what was happening. I sat back and listened. Okay. And they said, well, Justin, I don't think we're going to hire you. And I said, great. And it kind of set them back. And they're like, well, don't you know why? I said, not really, but okay, tell me. They said, Bill, because you don't have an MBA. And I said, perfect, don't hire me. And it totally threw them off. They're like, but that didn't even shake you. I said, no, it doesn't. I don't care. Why? They asked me. Because I know I can hire MBAs. In fact, I have 2 on staff right now who have MBAs. I don't need that designation. I can hire them and I can use their knowledge to help you and I can use their knowledge to help me and I can achieve my mission without that alphabet soup. And that person just could not connect the dots. It was crazy to me. To me, my 10th value and one that I live by and one I'm now teaching my children is your ability and your attitude to deploy those abilities is far greater and will serve you far more than some degree or some alphabet soup behind your name. Number 11 is one that I think God just birthed into me. Now, I don't have a particular coach who's ever done this for me, but I know many successful business owners that can point back to their football coach, their volleyball coach, their soccer coach, their piano coach, their ballet coach, some coach in their life, or maybe a parent. And my parents didn't really voice it in this way, but on this one it is, I, Justin Goodbread, will win. I'm going to win. See, winning starts with the belief. Winning says, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. That's legal, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes for me to accomplish my goals. I'm not going to quit. I am going to win. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Friends, there have been so many things in my life to where I'm faced with, no, we can't do this. And I'm going to continue to push through. I'll give you a prime example. Whenever I walked away from $250,000 of recurring revenue and to build the RIA, I had a friend, a business partner at that time, who said, you've lost your ever-loving mind. There's no way you're going to accomplish this. In fact, you can't accomplish this without someone like me. Yeah, that's history. I will win. Friends, let me ask you, do you have a belief that come hell or high water, as the old country saying says, that you're going to reach your destination? Cortez is famously known for saying, burn the ships, burn the boats. Friends, the way back to your families is through the enemy. There is no retreat. That's the killer mentality, if you will. And I say that obviously tongue-in-cheek with using a cliche, colloquialism, but it's this attitude that no matter what happens, I am going to reach my destination. We will win. My 12th value, I can remember it like it was yesterday. My uncle and I were driving to a boxing match in Atlanta, Georgia. I was in about the 11th grade. I can remember sitting in his Ford Explorer and we're going to the boxing match and I said something and he pulled off the side of the road on the interstate in Atlanta, which was already dangerous. And he looked over at me and he said, "Son, I want to teach you something here. There's only two things in life, results and excuses, and excuses don't count." Think about that. Two things in life, results. Are you able to accomplish what you're desiring, or excuses? And in that moment, I don't forget exactly what I said, but I had made an excuse for something I said I was going to do. My mom and dad would say it this way, honor your word. But in that particular moment, he said, there's only two things in life, results and excuses don't count. Friends, in your life today, what excuses are you making that's robbing you from the results you desire? Perhaps, just perhaps, it's a health result that you desire. One of the things I want is I want a six-pack. I finally have one. I'm excited about it. I never want to go back to being fluffy again. I've always wanted a six-pack. So I'm just making excuses on why I don't have a six-pack. Well, Justin, you're short and wide. Huh? I'm 5'7", 230 pounds. You're short and wide. You'll never have a six-pack. Hey, Justin, you like nacho cheese Doritos and pizza too much. You'll never have a six-pack. You know what? What do I truly want? I wanted the results. So the excuses don't matter. They don't count. What do you want? Perhaps it's a business goal. Perhaps it's a personal goal. Perhaps you want freedom. I can remember the first time I took 3 months off in a year. I wanted freedom, and today I love my freedom because that was the result that I wanted. So I did everything in my power to get the result. There are no excuses. Results and excuses. The only two things in life, and excuses don't matter. Friends, there are my 12 values. There are my 12 values, and they're easy for me to say, but they're hard to live by. So I want to challenge you. Perhaps you heard a value. It's like, man, Justin, that's intense. Man, I want to think about that. Will you take action today? Or will you be part of the 99% who will never move, go with the flow, just stay him-ha, just nonchalant, that you're getting overtaken by your competition, that you're unhappy, you're miserable? Are you going to be part of that 99%? If you're taking your life serious and you want to take your business to the next level, then these values, or values like these, are things that you need in your life. And in my own journey, as I laid these values out to my coach, he said, okay, these are going to be the values that I'm going to govern you by. And man alive, did he. He would look at my excuse and he said, Justin, two things in life, right? Results and excuses. You're making excuses. Yes, sir, you're right. Hey, Justin, you said you want a six-pack. Hey, Justin, are you teaching your team that you're going to win? Hey, Justin, are you teaching them to fish? No, you're not. You're taking it all on your own again. My coach solidified these values, and my coach pushing into me drove me from where I was, an average financial advisor within the numbers, to that best-in-class status. That best-in-class status that I wanted changed my family's life for the rest of my life. Friends, this is a deeply personal episode for me. I fall so short so many times, but I hope you can take this context and apply it to your life, and these values will serve you greater than you could ever imagine if you simply apply them. Until next time, y'all make it a great day.